One of the things that happens is when we first start to seek God, I know one of the simple things is we start to, just like before we got saved, it was almost like that fishbowl. It was almost like we let it get so filthy.
Yes.
And we had to do maintenance and everything just to get it cleaned up. There is temptations that we had before we met God that we slowly sniffed out.
Yes.
After meeting and walking with God.
Yeah.
When you're strong in the spirit and it's ever fresh on your mind, you're able to keep temptations in check. And what I'm getting with that is that before, when you're out in the world, when it's filthy like that, sometimes you may think certain thoughts, you may think certain things, and you let your mind, you don't keep it in check at all. You have no conviction. It may be sexually, and we live in a sexually saturated earth, and I know that's a problem with young men and teenagers because they, may see something instead of putting their minds in check or saying, hey, I shouldn't be thinking like that. Billy Graham always said, it's nobody can control birds flying over your head. What you can control is them festering and laying, laying a nest and eggs. Right. And a lot of times before we get to God, that's one of the things we don't do.
Right.
I believe, unfortunately, me being a police officer, certain things about pedophilia is part of my I don't want to say part of my life. And, I deal with people and I come across cases and stuff like that. And everybody asks how did they even get to that point? How could somebody get to that? And the simple is the same way where a young man may get to where every woman that walks by, he thinks of her in an inappropriate way.
Ooh, come on.
It may be where, a big thing with homosexuality is how does somebody get where they adjust their body? That it's they have intrusive thoughts come into their head. Yes. And instead of doing maintenance, instead of being strong in the spirit and have living water and live movement, they let that sit there and fester, and there's no maintenance to it at all.